Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nate G. This is the 2 o'clock presentation on chart patterns and how to play them. So last week we had our open house here in DPL, and we discussed the idea of coming in and doing a couple of sort of newbie, beginner, even somewhat experienced review on a few things that are kind of important to understand within the trading world. And one of those things is chart patterns with within the within like the 1 hour, the 30-minute, the daily, the any of the time frame charts, how to spot them and what they are, right, and how to play them when you do spot them. Okay. So we're going to go through a few chart patterns, and we're going to see if anybody can name these. Okay, does anybody know what this chart pattern is on the screen? This is a interactive presentation, so please jump in. It's got a flat top on it. Yep, Mike got it. The ascending triangle. Okay, that's an ascending triangle. We're working up into a flat top area, or an ascending wedge. Yep, that's true as well. Those are all correct. Okay, what about this one? Flat bottom, angle down. Chart pattern came into this from above. Right, this is a descending triangle. And if you don't know these yet, we're going to discuss how to spot them and then how to learn. What do we have here in this fourth one? Head and shoulders, right? Head and shoulders. I see Tom said channel. Yeah, I can see where you would say a channel. But with this higher spike up and the two lower shoulders, we're going to go with head and shoulders. If that spike was lower and held right into that middle point, that would be a channel. That's correct. So that's a head and shoulders. And what do we have here? Anyone? Bueller? Yeah, inverted head and shoulders. So these are some pretty basic ones. The ascending triangle being, I know one of D-Man's favorites. I love to trade the ascending triangle. Head and shoulders and inverted head and shoulders really help inform, potential direction in the market. So we have some more chart patterns that we're going to go through. What about this one? These are pretty easy. Right, a W, and there's another name for a W as long as it's relatively even. Yeah, W or a double bottom, and in reverse, right? In reverse, we have our double top, or kind of our M pattern, right? And what about this one right here? Everybody in here should know this pattern. Yeah, pennant, flag. This is also our TPS pattern. This is what we're looking for, right? We're looking for, it's a bull flag, it's a pennant. The stock has moved up, it's made a high, it's pulled back, and it's consolidating, usually right around these averages. This here is our bread and butter, right? I can't draw on this. That's too bad because it's full. Probably because it's full screened. That's why. So far, right? We've seen our ascending triangle, descending triangle, our W pattern, our M pattern, our bull flag, and our pennant, our head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders, and understanding how these charts. Now these are just lines in a presentation, right? But understanding how these look in real life. There are tons of resources online and books you can buy, and charts that you can actually print out and put on your wall, or buy and put on your wall, or have in a book. And just understanding how those patterns look and which way they tend to break is just one of those sort of basic trading knowledge pieces that are important to have, right? And so all of these patterns break out in a certain direction, right? Or they tend to. It's not 100%, but they tend to break out in a certain direction. So the ascending triangle breakout, which direction do you think these tend to break out? Right. These will tend to break out to the upside, okay? A lot of times you'll get that 1, 2, third push, not always 3, but when you see this pattern as you're trading it, the breakout, unless the pattern breaks down, tends to be to the upside, right? And what else are we looking for, right? We're looking for that breakout to happen on volume, right? We want to see that push up, and then we want to see our volume down below kind of give us a little bit of a push to confirm that that's going to be a breakout that's going to hold. Okay, so head and shoulders, right? The head and shoulders pattern tends to break the neckline to the downside, right? And then the inverted head and shoulders tends to break the neckline to the upside, but they all need to break on volume to be a really confirmed breakout. Okay. And that's where we watch, when you're chart reading and you're playing, let's say, a minute chart, you're watching these patterns, and then as that breakout happens, you want to see that volume to help confirm that. Okay. So how do we know a strong breakout versus a weak breakout? Okay, we're looking for confirmation signals, right? So on a strong breakout, like we just discussed, we're going to get a move on volume, right? A breakout that is potentially weaker or potentially going to fail, we don't get that big volume spike on breakout, right? And so that also helps us confirm. We see the breakout, visibly can see that, like for instance on this ascending triangle, that we are breaking out above the top end resistance line. But what's going to help confirm that as a breakout is going to be whether we get a lot of volume when that breakout happens. And in a second, we'll get into how to read that within the candle, right? And no, not necessarily a change in the histogram. This is volume on the bottom of your chart. This is not histogram, TPS histogram, sort of waveform. This is actual volume by time here during that breakout candle, and I'll show you when we get to this next one. Cool. So a strong breakout on high volume will tend to look like this, and what you're looking for here is the push up above, right? So these are candles that form this ascending triangle, right? We've hit resistance here, we've hit resistance here. Now we've come up and this candle has pushed through, right? It has pushed through, as you can see, on high volume, and it has closed near that high. This is a strong breakout on high volume, right? And you can feel pretty confident that this is a confirmed breakout, right? Now, sometimes market makers will know that a breakout or breakdown level is there because they can also see the charts, and they will push the price up above to give a breakout signal and see if there's going to be buyers, right? Well, here's a weak breakout, right? The market makers pushed that price up above to see if buyers were going to step in and start buying this, right? And to entice those buyers into that breakout. and then realized that there were not buyers and then pushed it right back down, right? So if you see this kind of a breakout, okay, and a candle, this is a weak breakout on low volume, and I would expect that this is maybe going to start to come back into this pattern, if not reverse, right? So there's other ways to read this. This could be a push up depending on the time frame that you're playing. If you're watching this on a one or 5 minute, and this is the 5 minute candle, this could be what we're going to talk about next on a 1 minute candle, which is a breakout and retest, right? So just kind of being able to keep an eye on what's happening and understanding that, market makers pushed this up, and then the buying did not step in, as you can see by volume. And so that pushed the price right back down. Okay, so if you miss the breakout, right, and the breakouts are usually, you can just kind of scalp those for a little, for just a little bit, right? And Mike, your question isn't that, sorry, I'm trying to go the opposite direction here. Isn't that high volume? I would consider that high volume, right? And I would consider that low volume. And really, all I'm showing is the difference in volume spike, right? Obviously, this would be a much longer volume. I just drew these in here. It's not going to be no volume on this. There's just going to be lower volume. Okay. So if you've missed the breakout or only scalped it for a little bit, right? What can you do? Can you still get in that trade, right? Yes, absolutely. And that's usually the better time to get into the trade is on entering on a retest. Okay. And what does that look like? So on a inverted on a head and shoulders, when we break that neckline, the breakout happens. What oftentimes you'll see is that initial push through, and then the price will come back and retest that level before continuing on. Okay, so that happens in an inverted head and shoulders, right? And that also happens on an ascending or a descending triangle. Is we get that initial push, and then it comes back and retests. And what a lot of beginning traders will do, will try to capture this initial move, and they'll put a stop in, or they'll feel like the trade's going against them, so they'll stop out or take profits way too early. And really, the bigger move is just about to happen after that retest comes back. Okay? Has anybody else lost volume? Or is it just Joyce? No? Okay. Just refresh. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Just let Joyce know to refresh here. Okay. So when we do get those breakouts or breakdowns, look for those retest spots, and then that's a great entry. It's hard as a new trader to trust that retest is going to be a great spot for entry, because it looks like a breakdown, and this is starting to reclaim the pattern. And this is the spot where this is a great risk reward spot, right? So if you're trying to take a trade here, as soon as that breaks back into the pattern, that's a stop out, right? So this is a short. This here would be a long. And that retest spot is always a great risk reward area. Yes, this is being taped. So within those patterns, we can start looking for those in the real world. Does anybody have any questions on those patterns? We're going to go to some charts and start looking at seeing what we can find within the charts. But understanding these patterns, let me go back to, and there's many more like this, right? We have a bear flag, we have a channel, We have a bearish wedge. We have all different types of patterns. And in this graphic that I just grabbed off the web, these actually show where good entry spots are when we break out of these patterns. Okay, so as I move out of that presentation, right? Let's see, escape. There we go. And we go into the world of actual charts, right? And what I need to do is take that presentation, and as we see these types of patterns show up in the real world, is take some screenshots, right? And I haven't really done a good job of that, other than the ones that other than the drawings, right? But what do these look like? Well, what does the SPY look like right now? Okay, right before I came on here, this is setting up in a W pattern, which should do that. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but that's the kind of pattern that we're seeing here. It's not quite a double bottom because it's a little off. This wick comes through, but we're sort of setting up that W pattern. Okay. So there's that. If we go to, let's see, something like TTD, right? What does TTD look like? Let me get rid of all of these. I would say TTD is a little bit more like a pennant and a wedge here, right? This is a TPS pattern. This is what we trade, right? So this is a little bit more of a pennant shape, a bull pennant. Yeah, the only reason I see a descending triangle. The difference is between a descending triangle and a pennant is the direction the stock came into that shape. Okay, so I have a clear stop area here at 105.34, which makes this pennant look like a descending triangle, right? But it's not, okay? Because a descending triangle would tend to break that direction, right? Really, what would make that a descending triangle would be is if we were looking at a name yesterday that had that. It would have had to enter this pattern from higher and come in here like this. Okay, but it didn't. Okay, so it didn't enter from up here as the stock fell. What's happened is we've gapped up and we're creating this pennant pattern or flag, right? That's the difference. And it's the direction that the stock has moved into, or the name has moved into that pattern. Are you with me on that? I'll put that in here for you, Laura. There you go. Yeah, would you like me to look at PayPal? So let's see what we can find here. PYPL. Somebody find me an ascending wedge. See if we can find an ascending wedge somewhere. So what are we looking at on PayPal? Oh, when I'm done with the training. Sorry, I thought that was part of the training. Let's see. Let's just pull up a couple charts here on a 1 minute. What do you see? So if we're looking at, let's say, hold on. If we're looking at Netflix here from earlier today, this is a 1 minute chart. What do we see on Netflix? Right? You all see that head and shoulders. Shoulder, head, shoulder. It's going to show up on a 5 minute as well, right? Just a little tighter. Okay, so there's a 5 minute chart. Head and shoulders. Okay, so, well, look, we have a TPS pattern here on the 5 minute, probably on the 10 minute as well. And what you'll notice, no, we don't, right? But we've come up here, we're consolidating around the moving averages, aren't we? So wouldn't you think, even here, okay, well, yeah, why don't we get into that? It's almost into the POC. Why wouldn't we want to trade this from a TPS pattern? Well, what I'd like to see is this be higher, right? So that we've formed more of our, if that were the case, I would want to be in this. Does that make sense? But it's not. We put a higher high in the middle and then a lower high. So which way, if we come in here and draw a neckline, right? Draw a neckline kind of like that. Which way does this break? To the downside. Right? Now it snapped back, right? And kind of has gone sideways. But if we were trading this, TPS style, and look at that, twice. Did you guys see what happened? Did you see what happened right here? And right here? What's that called? Yep. This is the neckline on a head and shoulders, which broke down and retested. Let's see what happened next. Okay, well, it's sort of retested this area, and now we could be forming a whole nother pattern, but that's why you can see in a head and shoulders, we're expecting that to break that neckline, at least in the short term. And then once you've got that line drawn, knowing that it's potentially going to come up and retest that line is pretty important. Okay, so let's see, what else can we find? Let's see if there's anything in like Kava. Let's back up here. Let's see, what else do we have? Forward. Okay, do we see anything happening in forward? It's not quite as clear, but here's a pattern it's kind of a pattern we didn't talk about on the smaller time frame. Yeah, Kava looks great. What pattern does this look like? No, I wouldn't call that a woodpecker. It was one of the patterns that we talked about. Yeah, you could definitely argue cup and handle. And the shape's not perfect. But I would argue what's that? Ascending triangle, right? And couldn't an ascending triangle, these patterns play within each other, right? Couldn't an ascending triangle also be a cup and handle, which we didn't really talk about? Which tends to break that way, and an ascending triangle tends to break that way, right? I even heard or even saw somebody said W. Yeah. Hold on. Sorry, I had to hit the sneeze button. uh, so, these patterns can really work within each other. And another thing we were looking at earlier today, when we talk sort of candlesticks and patterns, God, I'm not going to remember what it was. Oh, was it TTD? Yeah, it must have been TTD. So if I get rid of all this, right, and I go, we have a nice 30-minute squeeze here. We're just starting to form a 60-minute squeeze. Okay, this is a 60-minute squeeze, 65-minute on TTD, right? But when you look out here on the daily, right, you don't really have a pattern, right, on those three, but you can kind of see, I talked about this a little earlier, but this sort of informed this lesson. You can kind of see that that might actually be a bull pennant or a TPS pattern, just based on its triangular shape of those three candles near these highs, right? And so when you then go, oh, okay, that looks like we might have something on the 30-minute, and then you look at the 30-minute and boom, right? Boom, I have my TPS bull pennant pattern that we love to play. Okay, does anybody have any questions on that? Let's see if we can find an inverted head and shoulders. Let's see. Let's click around for a second. Let's try. MDT is trying to get off the ground there. Let's click around for a second. Let's maybe go to a 10-minute chart. Let's see what we can find. Hey, stop. Fast. Does anybody have anything that they would like me to look at? Maybe that's showing, a chart pattern. I mean, and you can pretty much spot these anywhere, right? Did we look at Kava? Let's K-View. Box? You want me to look at box? Yeah, let's do it. All right, what pattern do you see on box? Jerry? This is for Jerry. Jerry only answer. Do you see a pattern you like on box? If not, that's okay. If you just wanted me to look at box, that's fine. Yep. Sammy got it. Okay. We have a flat top. We have a little breakout there. Little failed breakout. There you go. The ascending triangle. And we had a breakout this morning here that failed and got stuffed right back down. Did it have high volume? Right? We talked about a breakout with volume. Did it have high volume? Yeah, not really, right? I would consider this high volume, and of course this gap up. It had slightly higher than normal volume, but not more than any other morning, right? And that thing ripped up and then just got stuffed and came all the way back down and retested that lower trend line. Okay? When you get that fake breakout or that false breakout, you're usually going to come back in and test support, if not break it. And now look, we're right back up into resistance again. So that's how you see these patterns, and that's how you see price action on those breakouts. This was a failed one, which is why scalping those breakouts, let's go back out. Sorry, my dog's. And look how quick that happened. And it just came right back into that level. And now it's worked its way back up. And within this 1 minute daily chart, do you see a pattern? The SPY, I'd say put in a W pattern. This one you could say almost cup and handle. Right? So my recommendation for those of you who don't really know your chart patterns is step one is understanding candlesticks. And I'll do a session on that. How about we do a session on that tomorrow? Understanding candlesticks. And then the second thing I would recommend is learning your chart patterns and learning how to spot them in the wild. Right? And that there are patterns within patterns that help inform and can help inform your trade. Yes, I did record this, ID. Thank you for asking. I do frequently forget. So I will never be upset with someone reminding me, hey, dum-dum, make sure you record. MP Pittman, the best videos to learn about chart patterns, you can watch this one. I did a similar one months ago, right? But what I would recommend is getting the printouts. You can buy books. This is a quick cursory search on Google for chart patterns. But there are books and like sheets you can buy that are like posters, right? So like this black, you can get this, I believe, I don't know if it's from these people, as a poster and put it up on your wall. Or I know there's booklets that, you can start to look at these and start to really learn what that pattern looks like. And so I hear people, and rightfully so, because you have to learn. But when Nate Bear or myself or D-Man or whatever, right, we're on the mic, and you're like, hey, look at Box, and we go, yeah, I love Box, right? And you're like, well, why? Why do they love box? Or someone goes, hey, check out, SE. And then I go, yeah, I don't really like SE. It doesn't fit my eye, which is true. Why wouldn't I like SE? Can anybody guess? I'll try and do it at the same time, Karen, at 2. I'll try and do a lesson at 2, and then I'll just do live trading in the morning. The reason I don't like this isn't necessarily a chart pattern, but there's all this traffic over here to get through. We're not in a clear trend, in my opinion. But then if I look at something like Z, well, okay, maybe. I don't like what's happened today, but then you'll see us like, oh, wow, BX. Yeah, I like BX right here. Why would I like BX right here? Right? I guess, that was, I don't know what that was on. What was that, like a 10 minute? And I'm just like pulling up a kind of a random chart. What was I on? Was that a 1 minute? Yeah, maybe. But why would I like BX here? Potentially, if I'm looking at a 2 minute chart, which I didn't realize I was, but that's totally fine. I'm looking for chart patterns. Boom. Yeah. And look where we are. Bottom of the trend line. We're testing that trend line support and VWAP. So on a very short term 2 minute day trade, I like BX right here. You see what you see? That's how you can kind of, when we look at a chart, we go, oh, we really like that one. Or no, we don't like that one, and here's why. You can learn to really spot those on your own. Right? Let's try GL. I'm looking at my list on the right. Do you think I like GL on this 30 minute? Yeah. I love GL. Now, do I pop out and go, it's just closed the gap? But yeah, I like that pattern. So that's pretty interesting. Are there other things that maybe inform me that, I don't know, maybe that's not the best trade to take? Who knows? You'll also hear me go, yeah, I can see what you're talking about. I don't know that I would take this trade because of other factors, such and such, But that's great. Let's see what else we have. FL. No, I don't really like FL. ZM. And a lot of that is experience, and then a lot of that is learning to read the charts and learning to see these patterns. So, does anybody have any questions about charts and patterns? Hey, Mr. Bear. We just did a whole session on chart patterns and how to read them. And I'm jumping off here in a second, so the screen will be yours. Yeah, and Laura, it takes practice. I mean, I know you are understanding it more, but just doing it over and over and over again. Really, if you find a good pattern, for instance, I would print that out, TTD. Print that out, come in here and write on your chart, bullpen it, TPS. Either have your lines drawn or don't, because you need to learn to recognize that, right? And then be, put that on your wall and say, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for, right? Or you find, what were we just looking at? Box. All right, ascending triangle. Put that on your chart, right? Ascending triangle, print it out, put it on your wall, put it in your book. Right? It's even breaking the way it's supposed to after a false breakout today. Right? So, monster on the weekly. What happened up here to box? Did I do something? Look, isn't that weird? I get SPX there, TTD there, but when I go to box, I don't get that window. Dumb. Okay. MSTR. On the what? On the weekly? Ooh, are we missing? We're missing. It's too late. See, I have it again. Market's pulling while I'm on the mic, and I'm missing a good sniper trade. That's all right. I've had some good ones today. That's all right. Can't have FOMO, right? Yeah. So, yeah, like I was saying, Bobby makes a great choice, or a great point there, is, you have to study them in the line forms like this, but then you have to go learn to find them in the wild. Because they're not always that clean on the chart. There's some art to it, right? So what do you want to look at? Monster on the... Did you say weekly? 1 week? Yeah. I mean, that's a nice pattern. Wait for this to give you your rounding momentum there. Yeah, I like it. It's more of a true... channel. Buy down here, sell up here. I like that. Papa James, you dropping the mic? Who said teach sniper? Did that answer your question, KB, or did you just want me to look at it? Cabby? MU? MU what? Daily? No. If you're looking at the daily on MU, you're kind of putting in a double bottom here. Potentially forming a W. Right? So that's one way to look at this. But if I go into something more like a 30-minute, yeah, kind of have a bit of a channel here. But we've entered this channel from here, right? Which would be more of a bearish channel, right? So this would tend to want to go that way. A continuation of the overall trend. That's not to say that's what will happen, because when I look at this on the daily, I see a big VP area down here on this double bottom. So we might get a large W reversal. But the other thing that I don't love is that we have earnings coming up next week. Okay, any other questions on chart patterns before I jump off? Free it up for the man, the myth, the legend. Jazz VP is volume profile. It's the stuff over here on the left. It's volume by price. All right, y'all. That's it for me. I'll get this this posted up here within the next 10 or 15 minutes if you missed it, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll do some live trading in the morning, and then we'll do. You guys want to do candlesticks? I know I promised I would do a Thinkorswim session at some point, but we'll do an intro to candlesticks at like 2 o'clock. I think 2 o'clock's open. Onyx, I have multiple videos on Sniper. So you can just go to YouTube. There's even a playlist that has all the Sniper videos listed in it if you want to learn that. You actually, D-Man, have put my favorite brand in the name. Of course it's a Speedo. It's like a Kleenex is my favorite tissue. A Coke is my favorite soda. D-Man, what do you say for like a Coke or a Pepsi down south, Louisiana? Is it a pop? Is it a soda? What do you guys say? Or you just call it Coke? Yeah, but it could be Sprite or root beer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I always thought that was a southern thing. What type what type of Coke do you want? That'd be a funny question to get out here. People would be like, diet or regular? I always kind of call it a pop, but I don't know if that's a West Coast thing because I wouldn't call myself completely West Coast. Kind of lived all over. Yeah, Midwest is a pop. That's maybe where I got it. I went to college in the Midwest. I'm kind of a hybrid. Pops Northeast as well. Yeah, that's funny. Crank. Okay, y'all. I'm gonna leave this on Mr. Bear's screen, and I think he is coming on at 3, or maybe even early. So I'll talk to y'all later.